The air in Ilara's small bedchamber always hummed with a soft, sleepy magic, especially after the sun dipped below the jagged silhouette of Whisper Peak. Outside her window, the vast canvas of the night sky unfurled, a velvet cloak embroidered with a million shimmering jewels. But tonight, it wasn't just the usual sparkle that held Ilara captive at her window seat. Tonight, the very stars seemed to pulse with a quieter, more insistent rhythm, as if whispering secrets only she could hear. Ilara, with hair the color of spun moonlight and eyes that held the deep, knowing blue of a midnight sky, was a child of the stars in more ways than one. Her village, Glimmerfen, nestled in the valley of Eridor, was famed for its incredibly clear nights, where the Ida stream, the visible current of magic that flowed through the heavens, could be seen meandering like a milky river. Most folk in Glimmerfen saw the stars as distant, beautiful lights, a comforting blanket. But Ilara felt them. She felt the subtle shifts in their brilliance, the tiny tremors in their celestial song. Tonight, that song was a little off-key. For weeks, a subtle unease had settled over Glimmerfen. The glow moss that lined the paths, usually a vibrant emerald, now pulsed with a fainter, almost weary light. The sky lamps, ancient orbs that drew their energy from the heart star and illuminated the village square, cast longer, more listless shadows. Even the dreams of the villagers, usually rich with the vibrant hues of shared stories and quiet joys, had grown muddled, their colors muted, their narratives tangled. Children woke with a sigh instead of a giggle, and even the oldest dream spinners found their nightly visions less vivid. Ilara knew why. She had been watching the Heart Star, the grandest and most benevolent star in the northern sky, the very anchor of their dreams. It was a star whose light ancient legends claimed was once so brilliant it painted the world in hues of silver and gold, even in the deepest night. Its light was not just illumination, it was sustenance, magic, the very thread from which the dream silks were woven. And it was dimming. Not dramatically, not yet. But Ilara's sensitive eyes saw the subtle flicker, the hesitant pulse where there should have been a steady, reassuring glow. She felt it like a chill in her own heart, a faint emptiness where her vibrant dreams used to hum. Her own slumber was now a patchwork of grays and indistinct shapes, a far cry from the soaring adventures and whispered conversations with stardust creatures she once experienced. Her grandmother, Lyra, a woman whose eyes held the wisdom of 1,000 starry nights, had once told her tales of the Starlight Weavers. They were ancient beings, Lyra said, gifted with the ability to draw down the very essence of starlight, to spin it into tangible threads of magic. They wove these threads into dream silks, shimmering tapestries of light that, when slept beneath, ensured the health of the spirit, the clarity of thought, and the richness of all dreams in Eridor. But the weavers had vanished centuries ago, their craft lost to time, their legacy preserved only in dusty scrolls and hushed legends. The Heartstar, Lyra had explained, was the last great source of pure dreamlight, sustained by ancient enchantments that no one remembered how to replenish. "The stars are more than just pretty lights, little star child," Lyra had whispered, her voice like rustling leaves. "They are the lifeblood of our world, the keepers of our memories, and the weavers of our dreams." Ilara remembered. And now, seeing the Heart Star falter, a quiet determination began to bloom within her. She couldn't just watch as the world slowly lost its glow, its people, their dreams. Slipping from her window seat, she padded silently across the cool smooth stones of her room to a small carved chest at the foot of her bed. It was an old thing, made of dark, polished wood, intricately etched with swirling patterns that mirrored the constellations. Lyra had given it to her on her 10th birthday, telling her it was a family heirloom, but warning her never to open it unless her heart truly felt the call of the stars. Tonight, her heart was practically singing the call. With trembling fingers, Ilara ran her hand over the cool wood. The carvings seemed to thrum under her touch. There was no lock, no latch, just a faint, almost invisible seam running along the top. She pressed gently, remembering a strange little indentation she'd noticed before, a tiny star-shaped divot hidden within a constellation pattern. She pressed her thumb into it. A soft, almost imperceptible click echoed in the quiet room. The lid lifted with a sigh, revealing not jewels or silks but a single object nestled on a bed of faded midnight blue velvet. It was a small, smooth stone, no bigger than her palm. It wasn't sparkling, not exactly, but it absorbed the ambient starlight from her window and held it, glowing with an inner ethereal luminescence. The light within it wasn't steady. It pulsed, a gentle, rhythmic beat, like a tiny, captured heart. It was a deep indigo, shot through with veins of silver that seemed to shift and reform, mimicking distant galaxies. As Elara picked it up, a warmth spread through her hand, then up her arm, tingling pleasantly. The stone felt ancient, powerful, and strangely familiar. It felt like holding a piece of the night sky itself. Beneath the stone, folded neatly, was a piece of parchment. It was brittle with age, its edges frayed, but the script, though delicate and swirling, was still legible. Elara unfolded it carefully, bringing it closer to the window's dim light. "To the one who feels the stars lament," it began, in a script that seemed to dance across the page. "To the heart that seeks to mend the weave. This is a star singer stone, a fragment of the first light given to our kin by the starlight weavers themselves. It hums with the song of the heart star, and should its melody ever falter, it is a sign. Go to the whispering woods, to the grove of the ancient moon petal trees. Seek the eldest bloom. It will guide you to the starbinder, keeper of the forgotten lore, and the last true echo of the week." Elara's breath hitched. A star singer stone. The heart star's melody. The starlight weavers. It was all real. And it was all tied to her. Lyra had never spoken of this stone, or this message. Her grandmother must have known, must have waited for the right time, for the stars themselves to call. The message continued, "But be warned, little star child, the path is not without shadow, for the dimming of the heart star is not merely a fading, but a drain. An ancient magic stirs seeking to consume its light for purposes unknown. You must be swift, and your heart must be true. A drain. Not just a fading." Elara clutched the star singer stone tighter. The warmth intensified, comforting yet urgent. An ancient magic, a shadow. This was bigger than she had imagined, more perilous. But the thought of Glimmerfin losing its glow, of the world growing dull and colorless, solidified her resolve. She couldn't turn back. She looked at the star singer stone again. It pulsed, a soft, inviting beacon in her hand. "Oganino to the whispering woods." Anea woods were a place of mystery, famed for their ancient gnarled trees whose leaves whispered secrets on the wind, and for the rare moon petal trees whose blossoms glowed with a soft lunar light only a few nights a month. And tonight, the moon was full, a pearl in the sky, promising the luminescence of the moon petals. She dressed quickly, pulling on sturdy trousers and a thick woolen tunic, her softest leather boots. She wrapped a warm cloak around her shoulders, its hood deep enough to shadow her face. Into a small satchel, she packed a water skin, a piece of dry bread, and a small pouch of dried berries. The star singer stone, still pulsing with its gentle light, she tucked carefully into an inner pocket, close to her heart. As she crept from her room down the creaking stairs and out the back door of her small cottage, the cool night air embraced her. The village was quiet, most folk deep in their troubled slumber. Only the faint, struggling glow of the sky lamps marked the path to the edge of the whispering woods. A dark, undulating mass that began where Glimmerfin's last cottages faded into the wilderness. The forest seemed to breathe with a life of its own. The wind, rustling through the ancient leaves, did indeed sound like whispers, a chorus of hushed voices. The path, barely visible in the dim light, was carpeted with fallen leaves, soft and damp, beneath her boots. Elara walked with a mixture of apprehension and wonder, her senses heightened by the strange magic of the night. The moon petal trees were not difficult to find, not tonight. Their soft, silver-blue glow shone like beacons deeper within the woods. They were tall, graceful trees, their bark smooth and pale, their branches reaching up like arms to cup the moonlight. Each delicate blossom, unfurled to the full moon, pulsed with a gentle inner light, illuminating the grove in a dreamlike haze. The air here was cool and sweet, scented with the unique, ethereal fragrance of the moon petals. As Elara stepped into the grove, the star singer stone in her pocket began to hum more vibrantly, a soft vibration against her skin. She pulled it out. Its light had intensified, casting a faint indigo glow around her fingers. It pulsed brighter now, and the veins of silver within it seemed to twist and point, drawing her deeper into the grove. The eldest bloom. The parchment had said to seek the eldest bloom. Following the star singer stone's silent guidance, Elara moved through the luminous grove. The moon petals grew thicker here, their light painting shifting patterns on the forest floor. Deeper and deeper she went, until she reached the very heart of the grove, where a single moon-petal tree stood taller and wider than all the rest. Its trunk was gnarled and ancient, its branches spreading like a vast canopy, and nestled among its topmost branches, larger and more radiant than any other, was a single magnificent bloom. It glowed with an almost blinding silver light, pouring forth a cascade of ethereal energy that seemed to shimmer and dance in the air around it. This was the eldest bloom. As Elara approached, a figure detached itself from the shadows beneath the eldest bloom. It was small, no taller than her waist, and covered in what looked like soft, silvery moss that pulsed with a faint inner light. Its eyes were large, luminous orbs, the color of twilight, and its limbs were slender, ending in delicate, almost translucent fingers. It had no discernible mouth, yet a soft melodious sound, like wind chimes played by a gentle breeze, emanated from it. Elara stopped, clutching the Starsinger stone. It vibrated wildly now, almost buzzing in her hand. The creature tilted its head, its luminous eyes regarding her with an ancient, patient gaze. "You have come," it chimed, its voice resonating directly in Elara's mind, clear as a bell. "The Starsinger stone has chosen its keeper. The Heartstar laments, and the Starbinder awaits." Elara, surprised but not afraid, found her voice. "Are you the Starbinder?" The creature swayed gently. "I am a fragment of the Starbinder, a guardian, a guide. The true Starbinder is not a being, but a place, a repository of memory, a loom of light." It gestured with a delicate, moss-covered hand towards the eldest bloom. "The eldest bloom will show you the way, but first you must prove your heart's true intention." Elara frowned. "How?" "The Heartstar's light, though dimming, still holds a spark of truth," the creature chimed. "To mend the weave, you must first understand the threads. You must listen to the Heartstar's song, truly listen, and find the discord. Let the Starsinger stone be your ear." It gestured to the stone in Elara's hand. "Raise it to the Heartstar. Let its song fill you." Elara hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath. She raised the Starsinger stone towards the open sky, towards where the Heartstar pulsed faintly above the moon-petal canopy. As she did, the stone began to vibrate even more strongly, its indigo light flaring. A strange sensation washed over her, as if an invisible thread had connected the stone in her hand to the distant star. Suddenly a sound filled her mind, not through her ears, but deep within her consciousness. It was a melody, vast and complex, a symphony of light and time. She heard the steady, comforting hum of the Heartstar in its prime, a deep, resonant chord that filled the universe with warmth and peace. But woven within that magnificent harmony she heard it, a discordant note, a persistent, chilling hum, like a parasitic drone. It was a cold, draining sound, pulling at the vibrant threads of the Heartstar's song, unraveling them one by one. It was the source of the dimming, the drain. It felt ancient, hungry, and utterly alien. Elara gasped, dropping her hand. The melody faded, leaving her heart pounding. "I heard it," she whispered. A cold sound, like something stealing the light. The moss-covered guardian nodded, its luminous eyes seeming to deepen with approval. "You hear the shadow hum. It is the work of the Umbra Weavers, ancient beings who sought to twist starlight into darkness, long banished from Eridor. But their magic lingers, a forgotten pact now stirring. They seek to drain the Heartstar, to weave its essence into a shroud of perpetual night." Elara shivered. A shroud of perpetual night. The thought sent a chill down her spine far colder than the forest air. "Now, for the path forward," the guardian chimed. "The eldest bloom holds a gateway. You must touch its heart, and with the Starsinger stone, awaken the way." Elara looked up at the magnificent bloom. It pulsed with an inviting light. Taking another deep breath, she clutched the Starsinger stone and reached out, her fingers brushing against the soft, luminous petals of the eldest bloom. As her hand made contact, the bloom flared, its light engulfing her in a brilliant, silver-blue embrace. The Starsinger stone pulsed in her palm, synchronized with the bloom's radiant energy. The light intensified, swirling around her, lifting her from the ground. She felt a strange pull, a sensation of being stretched and reformed, like starlight itself being spun into a new shape. The world around her dissolved into a kaleidoscope of shimmering colors, then reformed, not in the moon-petal grove, but in a place utterly new and breathtaking. She stood on a crystalline platform that seemed to float in an endless void of deep indigo. Above and below her, stars glittered, not as distant pinpricks, but as vast, swirling nebulae, close enough to touch. The air hummed with a profound, silent energy. And before her, stretching into the infinite distance, was a structure unlike anything she had ever seen. It was a colossal loom, woven not of wood or metal, but of pure solidified starlight. Its threads were visible streams of light, some vibrant, some faint, stretching from unseen anchors in the cosmic tapestry. And at its very center, where all the threads converged, was a swirling vortex of energy, the Starbinder. A voice, soft yet echoing with the wisdom of ages, filled the vast space. It was not the chiming of the Guardian, but a gentle resonant hum that seemed to emanate from the very fabric of the starlight loom. "Welcome, star child," the voice whispered. "You are Elara, the one who hears the heart stars lament. You have come to the Starbinder, the heart of the starlight weaver's craft. Here, the threads of fate and dream are spun. Here, you will learn what must be done to mend the weave." Elara gazed around her, utterly awestruck. This was it. This was where the answers lay, where the true challenge began. She was no longer just a girl from Glimmerfin, watching the stars from her window. She was here in the heart of the cosmos, ready to face the shadow that threatened to consume the light. Elara gazed around her, utterly awestruck. This was it. This was where the answers lay, where the true challenge began. She was no longer just a girl from Glimmerfin, watching the stars from her window. She was here, in the heart of the cosmos, ready to face the shadow that threatened to consume the light. The vastness around her began to coalesce, not into solid forms, but into shifting, luminous currents. Where there had been distant stars, now there were rivers of shimmering dust, flowing like liquid constellations. The air, if it could be called air, tasted of cool starlight and distant nebulae, a sweetness that tickled her senses. And from the very heart of this swirling wonder, a presence began to form. It was not a creature with limbs or eyes, but a living nebula, a cascade of opalescent light that pulsed with the rhythm of creation itself. Filaments of starlight, impossibly fine, trailed from its core, weaving in and out of the cosmic currents around it. Within its deepest brilliance, Elara perceived glimpses of swirling galaxies, nascent stars, and the faint, ephemeral echoes of dreams. It spoke not with a voice, but with a resonance that filled her very being, a harmony of countless distant whispers, ancient truths, and the soft hum of all that is. "Welcome, Elara of Glimmerfin." The Starbinder resonated, its presence both gentle and immense. "You stand within the core of the loom of all being, where the threads of existence are spun, stretched, and intertwined. This is the grand weave, Elara, the tapestry of all reality, woven from the dreams of every living thing, the fates of every star, the memories of every river, the hopes of every heart." As the Starbinder spoke, the swirling light around Elara seemed to part, revealing glimpses of this magnificent tapestry. She saw threads of brilliant gold that pulsed with the life of suns, shimmering silver strands that hummed with the quiet wisdom of ancient moon-touched forests, and threads of vibrant sapphire that sang with the joy of children's laughter. There were threads of sorrow too, like deep indigo veins, and threads of courage, fiery crimson, all interwoven into a pattern of breathtaking complexity and beauty. "But the shadow," the Starbinder continued, its resonant voice now carrying a note of profound sadness, "is not a creature of malice, but a force of forgetting, of unmaking. It is the chill of the void, the silence that seeks to consume the song, the darkness that hungers for light. It grows not by conquering, but by causing threads to fray, to lose their luster, to forget their power, until they unravel and are absorbed into its cold empty." Elara felt a pang of understanding. It wasn't about fighting an evil monster, but about rekindling a fading light, remembering a forgotten song. "Where the shadow touches the weave," the Starbinder explained, "dreams falter and hope dims. Stars lose their brilliance, and the paths of destiny become tangled or vanish entirely. The very fabric of reality thins, becoming fragile and prone to tears. Elara looked at her own hands, then back at the boundless weave. But why me? I'm just a girl. I don't know how to weave starlight. The starbinder's light pulsed, as if in gentle amusement. You are not just a girl, Elara. You are a child of Glimmerfin, a place where the barrier between worlds is thin and starlight breathes upon the land. The starbinder then drew Elara's attention to a particular section of the weave. Here, the vibrant colors were muted, almost grayscale. Threads were frayed, some snapped entirely, leaving gaping holes where once there had been intricate patterns. A cold, gray mist seemed to cling to this section, swirling like a phantom fog. This is where the shadow has taken root most deeply, the starbinder resonated. It has not merely frayed the weave, Elara. It has caused entire constellations of threads to vanish, to be forgotten. These lost threads hold key memories, vital dreams, and crucial paths of fate. Until they are found and respun, the entire tapestry remains vulnerable. And the shadow grows bolder, still, reaching for the very core of the grand weave. A new current of light began to swirl around Elara, guiding her gently. Come, Elara, before you can begin the greater task, you must learn to see the weave, to feel its pulse, to hear its song. For how can one mend what one cannot perceive? The starbinder led her deeper into its own luminous core, a place of profound quietude where the cosmic currents flowed with a serene grace. They arrived at what felt like a vast, invisible chamber, though it had no walls or ceiling, only endless, shimmering space. Here, the threads of the weave were not merely glimpses, but seemed to pass directly through, tangible to some inner sense Elara was only just beginning to awaken. This is the nexus of resonance, the starbinder explained, its voice a soft murmur now, like the rustling of stardust. Hera, the symphony of the weave is most clear. Close your eyes, Elara. Breathe in the light. Let your heart be open. A vessel for the starlight that flows within and around you. Elara did as she was told. She closed her eyes, the dazzling brilliance of the starbinder still imprinted on her inner vision. She focused on her breath, feeling the cool, sweet starlight fill her lungs, then flow out, carrying away any lingering worries or doubts. She imagined her heart as a tiny glowing ember, slowly expanding, radiating warmth and light. At first, she saw nothing, felt nothing but the vast emptiness. Then, a faint prickle, like distant static on her skin. She concentrated harder, pushing past the noise of her own thoughts, listening for something beyond the ordinary. Slowly, infinitesimally, she began to perceive a subtle hum, a vibration in the air around her. It wasn't a sound she heard with her ears, but one she felt in her bones, in the very core of her being. Each thread carries a unique vibration, the starbinder resonated. A song of its own, an echo of its origin, its purpose, its destiny. Listen for these songs, Elara. Elara focused, letting her inner light expand further. The faint hum began to resolve itself into individual notes, like the tuning of a celestial orchestra. Some notes were bright and clear, ringing with joy. Others were deep and resonant, speaking of ancient wisdom. She felt a thread pass near her, a warmth like sun-kissed grass, singing a soft, gentle lullaby. She opened her eyes, and though she still saw only shimmering light, she knew it was there. She reached out, her fingers brushing against empty space, yet feeling the gentle warmth of that thread. Excellent, the starbinder encouraged. Now, focus on a single thread. Let its song fill you. A specific thread seemed to call to her. It was a thread of a delicate, shimmering green, and its song was a quiet, hopeful melody, like the first sprout pushing through fertile soil after a long winter. Elara reached out again, this time with intention, letting her inner light connect with the thread's resonance. As she did, a vision bloomed in her mind, a tiny, brave sapling, pushing its way through cracks in hard, barren rock, its leaves unfurling towards a distant, benevolent sun. It was the dream of perseverance, the quiet strength of life against adversity. A wave of profound empathy washed over Elara. She felt the sapling's struggle, its tiny triumph, its unyielding will to live. And as she felt it, the thread seemed to brighten, its green deepening, its song growing clearer, more vibrant. "You have touched the thread of unyielding hope," the starbinder resonated. "You have heard its song. You have brought it a spark of your own light. This is the first step, Elara, to truly connect with the weave, to understand its language." Elara spent what felt like hours, or perhaps mere moments, in the nexus of resonance. She practiced listening, touching, and understanding. She learned to distinguish between the bright, joyous threads of new beginnings and the deep, rich threads of enduring love. She felt the subtle tremor of threads that carried the weight of difficult choices, and the swift, exhilarating rush of threads woven from moments of pure inspiration. But then the starbinder guided her attention to a different sound. A discordant note, a grating rasp, followed by a profound, chilling silence. It was a broken song, like an instrument suddenly going mute in the middle of a grand symphony. "Listen, Elara," the starbinder resonated, its voice now tinged with sorrow. "This is the sound of a section of the weave where the shadow has taken hold. It consumes the songs, silencing the threads, making them disappear from sight and touch. These are the lost threads, and they are the heart of our peril." Elara focused on the broken song. It emanated from a swirling vortex of muted colors, where the thread seemed to fray and dissolve into the cold gray mist she had seen earlier. She tried to reach out with her inner light, but it recoiled, met with an icy emptiness. "The shadow does not merely break, Elara," the starbinder explained. "It hedacine. It wraps threads in layers of forgetfulness, making them impossible to find unless one can hear their faint, lingering whispers, the echoes of their songs before they were silenced." A new challenge settled upon Elara. "I will guide you to a less damaged section of the weave, a place where the shadow has just begun to spread its influence. There, a single vital thread has been obscured. Your task is to locate it, Elara. Feel for its faint resonance, listen for its whisper, and bring it back into the light." The swirling light around her shifted, and Elara felt herself gently transported. She found herself in a space that was still largely vibrant, but with patches of creeping grayness, like frost spreading across a window pane. The songs here were still strong, but interspersed with moments of unsettling, quiet little pockets of silence where the music should have been. The thread of a guiding star, the starbinder, revealed. It is the thread that connects a lonely traveler's hope to the constant beacon of a distant star. Without it, many will lose their way, not just physically, but in spirit. Elara closed her eyes again, letting her inner light pulse. She extended her senses, sifting through the myriad of vibrant songs, searching for the faintest, most fragile echo of the guiding star. It was like searching for a single barely audible note in a vast, vibrant chorus. She felt the joy of new lovers, the peace of sleeping animals, the quiet strength of ancient trees. But the guiding star, it was elusive. She walked, or perhaps drifted, through the shimmering currents, her mind a focused beacon. The gray mist of the shadow seemed to press in on her, trying to distract her, to fill her with doubt. It whispered of impossibility, of futility, of the vastness of the task. But Elara remembered the tiny sapling, its unyielding hope. She pushed back against the whispers, letting her own hope be her compass. Then she felt it. A tremor, so faint it was almost imperceptible, like the whisper of a breeze across a distant, still lake. It was a cold touch at first, tinged with the shadow's chill, but beneath it, deep within it, was a spark of warmth, a steady, unwavering pulse. It was the echo of constancy, the promise of direction. Elara opened her eyes. Before her, shrouded in a thin veil of grey mist, was a ghostly shimmer. It was almost transparent, barely visible, but she could feel it now, vibrating with that faint, steady song. She reached out, her hand passing through the cold mist, and gently, carefully, touched the shimmering thread. As her fingers made contact, a wave of warmth spread from her hand, chasing away the grey mist. The thread, dull and ghostly just moments before, began to glow with a soft, steady silver light. Its song, faint and hesitant, grew stronger, clearer, filling the immediate space with a gentle, reassuring melody. It hummed with the quiet strength of a distant star, patiently watching over all who seek its light. Elara felt a surge of joy and triumph. She had found it. She had brought it back. "You have done well, Elara," the starbinder resonated, its voice now filled with quiet pride. "You have shown that even the deepest shadows cannot extinguish a light that is truly sought. You have located the thread of a guiding star and brought it back into the visible weave." Elara felt the thread pulse beneath her touch, vibrant and whole once more. The feeling of success was profound, a warmth spreading through her chest. But then, she looked beyond the mended thread, at the vast, endless expanse of the weave, and the countless other patches where the grey mist still clung, where the songs were broken or silent. "There are so many, Starbinder," she whispered, her voice small against the cosmic expanse. "How can I mend them all?" The Starbinder's light pulsed gently. "You cannot, Elara. No single being, not even the Starbinder itself, can mend the entirety of the grand weave once it has been so deeply touched by the shadow. The task is too vast, the lost threads too numerous." Elara's heart sank slightly, but then the Starbinder continued, its voice imbued with renewed purpose. "Your true quest, Elara, is not to mend every single thread, but to reawaken the ancient guardians of the weave, the celestial spindles. Long ago, when the grand weave was first spun, smaller, living looms were scattered throughout the cosmos. These spindles acted as regional hearts for the weave, helping to maintain its flow, to gather ambient starlight and dreams, and to re-spin threads that had... The Starbinder showed Elara a vision. Scattered across the vast cosmic tapestry, like forgotten jewels, were faint, glowing nodes. Some were brilliant, still humming with power, but many more were dim, almost dark, swallowed by the encroaching grey mist. As the shadow grew, the Starbinder explained, it sought to silence these spindles, to cut off the Starbinder's reach. Many have fallen dormant, their light extinguished, their weaving silenced. Your quest, Elara, is to journey to these silent spindles, to reawaken them with your pure light, and to help them begin weaving anew." A thrill ran through Elara. This was a true quest, a journey across the cosmos. "Reawakening the spindles will stem the tide of the shadow," the Starbinder continued. "It will allow the Starbinder to focus its vast power on the core damage, while the spindles restore the regional weave. Each spindle holds a unique aspect of the weave. One might specialize in the dreams of nascent stars, another in the fates of ancient forests, another in the courage of fledgling civilizations. Each will present its own challenges, its own forgotten songs to be relearned." "Where do I begin?" Elara asked, her voice steady, filled with a burgeoning excitement and a sense of profound purpose. "Your first destination?" The Starbinder resonated, and a new vision bloomed before Elara's eyes. It was a swirling, ethereal labyrinth of glowing gas and stardust, a nebula of unimaginable beauty, deep indigo and violet, shot through with veins of emerald and gold. "You will journey to the slumbering labyrinth, a cluster of nebulae on the fringes of the whispering realms. Within its heart lies the spindle of whispering dreams. It has been silent for eons, its song muted by the shadow's touch, causing nightmares to flourish and hopes to fade across countless worlds." The Starbinder then drew forth a small shimmering vessel from its own luminous core. It was crafted entirely of coalesced starlight, an impossibly elegant skiff that seemed to hum with latent energy. It had no sails, no oars, no visible means of propulsion, yet it pulsed with a quiet readiness. "This is the Stardust Skiff, unwind," the Starbinder explained. "It is woven from pure light and thought, guided by intent and the currents of the weave itself. It will carry you through the cosmic seas, a silent companion on your journey." Elara stepped towards the unwind, feeling a sense of wonder and a touch of trepidation. The skiff seemed to welcome her, its starlight warmth enveloping her as she settled into its luminous form. The slumbering labyrinth, a breathtaking expanse of cosmic mist and nascent stars, shimmered in the distance, a destination both daunting and utterly enchanting. "Go now, Elara of Glimmerfan." The Starbinder resonated, its light enveloping her, and the unwind in a gentle embrace. "May your light be your guide, your hope your shield, and your pure heart the key to awakening the forgotten songs of the cosmos. The grand weave awaits your touch, and the stars themselves hold their breath for your journey." With a gentle nudge, the unwind detached from the Starbinder's core, drifting out into the vast silent expanse of the cosmos. Elara looked back one last time, seeing the Starbinder glow like a benevolent sun at the heart of creation. Then she turned her gaze forward, towards the swirling, mystical beauty of the slumbering labyrinth, her first destination on a journey that would redefine what it meant to be a girl from Glimmerfen. The universe was vast, the shadow immense, but within her, Elara felt a spark of starlight, ready to illuminate the way. The slumbering labyrinth was not a place of stone and mortar, but a breathtaking tapestry woven from twilight and nascent starlight, unfurling itself across a vast, quiet corner of the cosmos. As Elara's thought ship drew closer, it resolved into a dizzying array of swirling nebulae, shimmering pathways of solidified stardust, and silent obsidian dark corridors that seemed to swallow the light of distant galaxies. Rivers of iridescent mist, like exhaled dreams, flowed between colossal, crystalline structures that hummed with a deep, resonant peace. It was a place where silence was not an absence, but a presence, profound and ancient. No grand gate or imposing entrance marked its beginning. Instead, the labyrinth simply was, its boundaries blurring into the cosmic fabric around it. Elara guided her thoughtship, a mere fleck of consciousness in this immense dreamscape, towards a particularly vibrant swirl of lavender and silver mist that pulsed with a gentle, inviting rhythm. As she approached, the mist parted like a silken curtain, revealing a pathway paved with what looked like solidified wishes, tiny, glowing motes of light that pulsed in harmony with her own heart. Taking a deep breath, or the cosmic equivalent of one, Elara stepped out of her thought ship, feeling the strange, soft give of the wish path beneath her bare feet. The air here was cool, like the deepest part of a moonlit night, and carried the faint scent of forgotten stories and morning dew. Above her, the labyrinth ceiling was an ever-shifting kaleidoscope of cosmic wonders, where miniature galaxies spun in slow motion and comets drifted past like sleepy fish in an ethereal ocean. "Welcome, little dreamer," a voice whispered, not from any specific direction, but from the very air around her. It was a voice like rustling leaves and distant chimes, both ancient and young. "You seek the heart of slumber, where dreams are born and stars are renewed." Elara looked around, her eyes wide with wonder. Who are you?" "I am the labyrinth," the voice replied, a soft chuckle rippling through the starlit pathways. "And you are a visitor, a spark from the Starbinder. Tell me, what dream do you carry in your heart that brought you to my quiet halls?" Elara considered this. "I carry the dream of light, of rekindling stars that have faded, of weaving new ones from the fabric of possibility. I was told I must gather dreams here to learn how to do this." "Indeed," the labyrinth murmured. "For dreams are the seeds of stars. But first, you must learn to listen. The labyrinth does not speak in words, but in whispers, in feelings, in the silent currents of the cosmic mind." The path of wishes gently sloped downwards, leading Elara into a vast chamber, where the very air seemed to shimmer with suspended light. Here, countless spheres of purest light, each no larger than Elara's head, drifted gently, like bubbles in a slow-motion current. Each sphere pulsed with its own unique color and energy: emerald, sapphire, amethyst, gold, and within them, Elara could faintly perceive images: a child laughing in a field of flowers, a wise old sage contemplating a starry sky, a brave warrior standing against a monstrous shadow, a lonely explorer finding a new world. "These," the labyrinth's voice explained, "are the dreams of the worlds. Each sphere is a dream, vibrant and potent, waiting to be understood, to be nourished, to be given new purpose. But they are not simply to be collected. Little spark. They must be felt." Elara reached out a tentative hand towards a sapphire sphere that depicted a magnificent, soaring dragon with scales like polished moonlight. As her fingers brushed its surface, a wave of exhilarating freedom and ancient wisdom washed over her. She felt the wind beneath the dragon's wings, the vastness of the sky, the deep, abiding love it held for its chosen valley. It was more than an image. It was an experience, a memory, a living emotion. "To gather a dream," the labyrinth continued, "is to understand its essence, to truly know it. For only then can its energy be guided, its potential unlocked." Elara spent what felt like hours, or perhaps mere moments, simply drifting among the dream spheres. She touched dreams of courage, of sorrow, of joy, of longing, of discovery. Each one left an indelible mark on her, expanding her understanding of the myriad experiences that filled the universe. She learned that even a dream of sadness held a unique beauty, a quiet strength that could, in its own way, fuel new beginnings. As she delved deeper, she noticed that some spheres were dimmer, their colors muted, their images faint. "What about these?" she asked, gesturing towards a pale, almost translucent sphere that seemed to hum with a quiet yearning. "Are these fading dreams?" "They are forgotten dreams," the labyrinth replied softly. "Dreams that have lost their way, or been put aside by their dreamers. They still hold power, but it is a sleeping power, a potential waiting to be reawakened." Elara felt a pang of empathy for the forgotten dream. She gently cupped the sphere in her hands. It felt cool, like a pebble found at the bottom of a clear stream. She focused the spark of starlight within her, the warmth from the starbinder's core, and let it flow into the dream sphere. Slowly, like a flower unfurling in the morning sun, the pale light brightened. The faint image within it, a lone figure standing on a cliff overlooking a star-dusted ocean, grew clearer, imbued with renewed hope and a sense of boundless possibility. "You have a gift, little spark," the labyrinth praised. "A true empathy for the heart of things. This is the first lesson of the Dreamweaver, to see the light even in slumber, and to nurture it." The path then led Elara into a different section of the labyrinth, a place of flowing currents and shimmering pathways. Here, instead of spheres, dreams manifested as rivers of pure light, each river carrying a different emotional current. There was a river of unbridled joy, sparkling and effervescent, a deep, slow-moving river of profound peace, a restless, swirling river of boundless curiosity. "Here you learn to separate and combine," the labyrinth instructed, "to understand the flow and interplay of dreams, for a star is not born of a single dream, but of a symphony." Elara found herself standing at a confluence of three dream rivers, one of courage, fiery and bright, one of unwavering hope, a steady, golden stream, and one of gentle wisdom, deep and serene. The labyrinth prompted her. Imagine a star that guides lost voyagers. What dreams would give it strength and purpose? Elara closed her eyes, feeling the currents of the dreams around her. A star for voyagers would need courage to face the unknown, hope to persevere through darkness, and wisdom to chart the correct path. She extended her hands, not physically, but with the intent of her starlight spark, and gently drew from each river. The streams of light flowed into her open palms, merging and swirling, not mixing into a uniform color, but dancing together, each retaining its unique vibrancy. She felt the combined energy, potent and harmonious, humming within her. It wasn't just a collection of feelings. It was a new entity, a blueprint for a star of guidance. The sensation was exhilarating, like discovering a new language she had always known in her heart. Days, or perhaps weeks, slipped by in the slumbering labyrinth. Time here had no meaning, only the rhythm of dreams. Elara navigated pathways made of silent melodies, through groves where slumbering memories hung like dew-kissed leaves, and across plains where forgotten futures shimmered like mirages. She met no other living beings, yet she was never truly alone, always accompanied by the omnipresent, gentle voice of the labyrinth and the countless echoes of dreams. She learned to differentiate the subtle nuances of dreams, the difference between a dream of ambition and a dream of purpose, between a dream of freedom and a dream of escape, between the quiet peace of acceptance and the vibrant joy of discovery. She learned that a dream was never truly lost, only waiting for a sympathetic heart to awaken it. One day, the labyrinth guided her to its deepest heart, a vast cavern illuminated by a single, colossal pearl of opalescent light. This pearl pulsed with an ancient, slow beat, like the heartbeat of the cosmos itself. Around it, countless tendrils of light, like roots, reached out, intertwining with the very fabric of the labyrinth. "This," the labyrinth whispered, its voice now resonating with an even deeper, more profound power, "is the great dreamer, the source from which all dreams spring. It is the slumbering mind of the universe, dreaming all that is, and all that will be." Elara approached the great dreamer, feeling a sense of awe that dwarfed even her first sight of the starbinder. The pearl pulsed, and with each beat, a tiny nascent dream spark drifted away, to begin its journey through the labyrinth, eventually to be caught by a dreamer, or to slumber until awakened. "You have learned to listen, to feel, to gather, and to combine," the labyrinth said. "Now, you must learn to igeve, to weave these gathered dreams into the very fabric of creation, to sing them into being as new stars." A pathway of pure shimmering stardust materialized before Elara, leading directly towards the great dreamer. At its end, suspended in the air, was a shimmering, empty loom woven from threads of pure possibility. It was intricate and delicate, yet held an immense power. "This is the loom of whispers," the labyrinth explained. "Here, the threads of gathered dreams are spun into the light of stars. It requires a focused heart, a clear intention, and a song of creation." Elara understood. This was the final step in the labyrinth, the ultimate lesson. She thought of the Starbinder's words, of the fading stars, of the need for new light. She thought of Glimmerfin, of its gentle starlit nights, and the countless worlds across the cosmos that depended on the warmth and guidance of stars. She stood before the loom of whispers. In her mind's eye, she called forth the combined dreams she had nurtured. The courage, the hope, the wisdom, the joy, the peace, the longing for discovery. They swirled around her, a kaleidoscope of light and feeling, ready to be woven. Elara reached out, and the threads of light, the very essence of the dreams, flowed into the loom. She began to hum, a soft, wordless melody that rose from the deepest part of her being, a tune of creation and renewal. As she hummed, her hands moved with an intuitive grace, guiding the shimmering threads. She felt the loom respond, vibrating with a gentle energy. Slowly, magically, a form began to take shape on the loom. It wasn't a fully formed star, not yet, but a nascent core of pure, concentrated starlight, pulsing with the combined energy of the dreams she had woven. It glowed with a soft ethereal light, the color of a dawn sky, holding within it the promise of warmth and guidance. It was a potential star, imbued with purpose and meaning. "Magnificent," the labyrinth breathed, its voice filled with satisfaction. "You have not just gathered dreams, little spark. You have given them new life, new form, new direction. You have spun the threads of possibility into the fabric of creation. This is the art of the dreamweaver." The nascent star core floated gently from the loom, hovering before Elara, a testament to her newfound skill. It was small, no bigger than her palm, but it radiated an immense power, a quiet strength born of countless dreams. "This is but the first step," the labyrinth said. "A nascent star must be taken to the Starbinder, where it will be nourished and sent forth to take its place among its brethren. You have learned what you came to learn here. The way forward is clear." Elara held the nascent star core gently in her hands. It felt warm, alive, like a tiny beating heart. She looked back at the great dreamer, at the loom of whispers, and at the vast, silent beauty of the slumbering labyrinth. She felt a profound gratitude for the lessons learned, for the ancient wisdom imparted. She had come here a girl from Glimmerfin, seeking to understand the universe. She was leaving as something more, a fledgling dreamweaver, carrying a star in her hands and a deeper understanding of the cosmic dance of creation within her heart. The lavender and silver mist that had welcomed her now beckoned her away. Her thought ship awaited, ready to carry her back into the vast, silent expanse of the cosmos. Her next destination, the labyrinth had whispered, lay beyond the veil of whispers, where forgotten languages hummed in the void, and ancient truths awaited rediscovery. Elara turned, the nascent star core glowing softly in her cupped hands, and stepped back onto the path of wishes, ready to continue her journey, one dream, one star, at a time. The universe, still vast, still full of shadow, now seemed a little brighter, illuminated by the spark within her, and the tiny star she carried. Her next destination, the labyrinth had whispered, lay beyond the veil of whispers, where forgotten languages hummed in the void, and ancient truths awaited rediscovery. Elara turned, the nascent star core glowing softly in her cupped hands, and stepped back onto the path of wishes, ready to continue her journey, one dream, one star, at a time. The universe, still vast, still full of shadow, now seemed a little brighter, illuminated by the spark within her and the tiny star she carried. The path of wishes, once a shimmering ribbon, now transformed into a river of hushed secrets, flowing through an infinite, starless void. This was the Veil of Whispers, a cosmic membrane where the universe's forgotten languages rippled like unseen currents. Here, light existed only as echoes of sound, painting transient tapestries of color across the nothingness. The air, if it could be called air, vibrated with an intricate symphony. It wasn't music in the conventional sense, but the resonant hum of forgotten truths, the murmur of words no longer spoken, the ghost songs of civilizations long turned to stardust. Each whisper carried a faint, almost imperceptible pressure, a subtle tug on the threads of her consciousness. Some were sharp and fleeting like the crackle of a forgotten spell, others were deep and ancient, like the groan of a dying star. The labyrinth, a silent guide in her mind, had prepared her for this. It had taught her to listen with more than just her ears, to feel with the very core of her being. She closed her eyes, letting the star core in her hands pulse softly, its nascent light a counterpoint to the endless dark. It was a beacon, a compass in this sea of forgotten tongues. As she immersed herself, the whispers began to coalesce, not into words she understood, but into patterns, shapes of thought that resonated deep within her spirit. She felt the echoes of primordial screams of creation, the silent joy of the first suns igniting, the sorrow of worlds dissolving into nebulae. This wasn't merely language. It was the very fabric of cosmic memory, the raw data of existence. One particular hum began to assert itself, a low, persistent thrumming that felt both ancient and urgent. It pulsed with a melancholic beauty, a profound sense of loss, yet also a steadfast hope. This was the language the labyrinth had spoken of, the tongue of unraveling and reknitting. It was the language of cosmic entropy and rebirth, the fundamental syntax of creation and decay. It wasn't meant to be spoken but understood through intuition, through resonance. Elara opened her mind further, letting the hum wash over her, past her thoughts, into the very atoms of her being. The star core glowed brighter, responding to the immense energetic patterns. As the tongue of unraveling and reknitting flowed through her, she began to perceive the universe in a new way. She saw not just stars and nebulae, but the intricate invisible threads that wove them together. She saw the cosmic tapestry, and to her dismay, she saw the frayed edges, the thinning strands, the places where the weave was coming undone. The labyrinth had guided her to collect dreams and stars, to ignite sparks. But now she understood unwind. The universe itself was unraveling slowly, subtly, like an ancient garment worn thin by aeons. The dreams were the vibrant dyes, the stars the resilient threads, and the forgotten languages, particularly this tongue of unraveling and reknitting, were the patterns, the blueprints for repair. A profound sorrow settled upon her, heavy as a collapsed galaxy. The beauty of the veil of whispers, the sheer magnitude of cosmic memory, was tinged with the ache of impending loss. But with the sorrow came a surge of purpose, a fierce determination. She wasn't just collecting, she was preparing to mend. The nascent star core in her hands began to vibrate in sync with the tongue of unraveling and reknitting. Its light intensified, not just illuminating the void around her, but seeming to absorb the patterns of the whispers, translating them into pure, focused energy. It was like a cosmic Rosetta Stone, translating the abstract language of cosmic mechanics into something tangible, something usable. As the star core pulsed, it began to project a shimmering pattern onto the void, a complex, interlocking design that pulsed with the rhythm of creation. It was the labyrinth's own intricate blueprint, but interwoven with the wisdom of the tongue. This wasn't just a map, it was a key. It pointed not to a physical destination but to a convergence, a nexus point where the most vital threads of the cosmos met. The loom of starlight. In a name echoed in her mind, gifted by the labyrinth through the resonance of the veil. This was her true destination. This was where the great unraveling was most acute, and where the reknitting must begin. With a final deep breath, Elara absorbed the last of the veil's teachings, letting the tongue of unraveling and reknitting become a part of her own inner language. The sorrow lessened, replaced by a quiet strength. The path of wishes, now informed by ancient truths, glowed before her, leading her away from the veil of whispers towards the heart of the cosmic tapestry. Her journey through the cosmic currents was no longer a meandering path but a swift, purposeful trajectory. The star core, now infused with the essence of forgotten languages, acted as a compass, pulling her ever closer to the loom of starlight. The stars outside her bubble of light seemed to streak past, blurring into trails of iridescent dust, like threads being pulled taut across an invisible frame. As she traveled, Elara found herself meditating on the dreams she had gathered. Each one, from the simplest wish of a sleeping child to the grandest aspiration of a dying star, was a unique pigment, a singular hue in the spectrum of existence. She understood now that these weren't merely stored, they were being refined, distilled into pure, potent essence within her being. The labyrinth wasn't just guiding her, it was transforming her, making her into a conduit for the universe's own repair. She passed through regions of incredible beauty and profound strangeness. Swirling nebulae that sang with the joy of nascent life, silent fields of ancient, slumbering black holes that pulsed with a slow, heavy wisdom. She saw phantom galaxies, mere echoes of what once was, and nascent ones still forming, their edges soft and undefined. Everywhere the subtle fraying of the cosmic tapestry was evident, a slow, almost imperceptible dimming of the light, a weakening of the connections between things. The loom of starlight manifested itself first as a disturbance in the fabric of space-time itself. The smooth flow of the void grew turbulent, like water nearing a great waterfall. Colors shimmered and shifted, not from nebulae, but from the raw energy of creation and dissolution. The whispers of the veil had been a symphony. This was a roaring forge, a tumultuous nexus of power. Then through the shifting veils of light and shadow, Elara saw it. It was not a machine in the conventional sense, nor a celestial body. The loom of starlight was a colossal, living architecture of pure energy and thought, suspended in a central void that pulsed with an unbearable light. It was woven from strands of starlight, solidified dreams, and crystallized wishes, stretching outwards into infinity, forming the very skeleton of the cosmos. It hummed with the primordial beat of existence, a rhythm so profound it vibrated in her bones. But it was broken. At its very heart, where the most vital threads converged, there was a gaping, ragged tear. A void within the void. An absence that pulsed with an agonizing chill. This was not merely a missing piece. It was a wound, a cosmic breach through which the very essence of the universe was slowly draining away. From this wound, wisps of shadow and forgotten despair seeped, like dark blood, spreading the slow unraveling through the cosmos. This was the source of the dimming, the fading dreams, the subtle weakening of reality itself. The labyrinth in her mind resonated with a clarity and urgency it had never possessed before. This is the great unraveling, it pulsed. Its foundational thread, the thread of infinite potential, was severed. This is why dreams fade, why stars lose their purpose, why truth becomes forgotten. You must reweave it, Elara. You and all you have gathered are the instruments of its renewal. One, Kizinde. Elara felt a profound fear, a tremor that shook her to her core. The task seemed impossibly vast, overwhelmingly monumental. How could one small star-carrying girl mend the very fabric of the universe? Then, she looked down at her hands. The nascent star core glowed, no longer just a spark, but a miniature sun, humming with the tongue of unraveling and reknitting. Within her, the dreams she had collected pulsed with vibrant life, a kaleidoscope of purest potential. Her own wishes, the very ones that had set her on this path, formed a resilient core of determination. She was not alone. The labyrinth, the universe itself, had prepared her. She took a hesitant step towards the tear, her heart pounding like a drum against the vast silence. As she neared, the chill emanating from the wound intensified, a cold despair that tried to seep into her resolve. She saw the wisps of shadow, not just as absence, but as forgotten fears, broken promises, and hopes abandoned. These were the debris of the unraveling, the cosmic dust of despair. No, Elara whispered, her voice surprisingly steady. Not here. She raised the star core, holding it high. Its light, now truly magnificent, pushed back against the encroaching shadows. The tongue of unraveling and reknitting sang through it, a silent melody of repair. The star core was the seed of the new thread of infinite potential, imbued with the cosmic language needed to grow. But a seed needs soil, and the soil here was barren, fractured by loss. Their dreams seemed, the labyrinth prompted. Eti wishes. They are the nourishment. Or, Hwani. Say. Elara understood. This wasn't just about power, it was about belief, about the generative force of hope and imagination. She closed her eyes, focusing on every dream she had gathered. The child's dream of flight, the scholar's dream of discovery, the artist's dream of beauty, the dying star's dream of becoming a new nebula. She pulled them out, not as individual entities, but as a coalesced river of pure shimmering dream essence, a vibrant multi-hued stream that flowed from her being towards the gaping wound in the loom. As the dream essence touched the edges of the tear, the shadows recoiled, hissing faintly. The barrenness began to recede, replaced by a subtle, fertile glow. The dream essence wasn't just filling the void, it was preparing the ground, weaving a temporary matrix of pure potential. Next, the stars. The tiny, sparkling motes she had collected from lonely corners of the cosmos, the hopes and aspirations of countless beings. These were the strengthening agents, the resilient fibers. She released them, and they swirled around the dream essence, embedding themselves into the nascent matrix, adding structure and resilience. The matrix began to solidify, to pulse with a gentle light, forming a shimmering, ethereal patch over the wound. But it was still fragile. It needed a core, a central anchor that could grow into the new thread of infinite potential. Elara extended her hands, the star core glowing furiously in her palms. With a surge of will, she pushed it gently towards the center of the shimmering matrix. It settled there, a tiny, brilliant sun at the heart of the cosmic wound. The moment it made contact, a surge of pure energy erupted, not explosive, but expansive, gentle, yet unstoppable. The tongue of unraveling and reknitting burst forth from the star core, echoing through the dream essence and the embedded starlight, singing the song of creation and repair. The energy wasn't just mending, it was Elara weaving. Elara felt her own essence being drawn into the process. Her wishes, her determination, her love for the universe, her very spark of life, all flowed into the star core, becoming fuel for the grand reweaving. She became a conduit, a living loom herself, channeling the cosmic energies through her being, shaping them with her intent. The shimmering patch began to grow, extending outwards, spinning new threads of starlight and dream essence, weaving them into the existing fabric of the loom. The gap closed, not with a simple patch, but with a vibrant, living new section, pulsing with an even brighter, more resilient light than before. The colors were richer, the texture stronger, the hum of the loom more harmonious. The shadows that had seeped from the wound recoiled completely, dissolved by the sheer force of creation. Despair gave way to hope, loss to renewal. Finally, the reweaving was complete. The loom of starlight stood whole again, its central heart pulsing with the vigorous, radiant energy of the reignited thread of infinite potential. It was more than just mended. It was renewed, infused with the collective dreams and wishes of all beings, guided by the ancient wisdom of forgotten languages, and powered by Elara's unwavering heart. Elara stood before it, breathless, exhausted, yet filled with an unparalleled sense of peace and wonder. The star core, no longer in her hands, had become an integral part of the loom, a new, radiant heart for the cosmos. She felt lighter, as if a great burden had been lifted, yet also profoundly connected to everything. The labyrinth, which had been a guiding voice, now resonated as a vast, encompassing presence within her, not separate, but an echo of the universe's own consciousness. "You have done well, Elari," it pulsed, its voice now shimmering with joy and profound gratitude. "Your tapestry is whole. The dreams will flow again, the stars will shine with renewed purpose, and the truths will always find their way back to those who seek them." Nights. Elara looked out into the vastness of the cosmos, no longer seeing dimness or fraying, but an infinite, vibrant expanse of interconnected light. The universe, once threatened by unraveling, now hummed with a renewed vitality, a promise of endless possibilities. What now? She wondered. Her quest was complete. The labyrinth answered, not with words, but with a gentle, loving embrace that filled her entire being. "Your journey is never truly over, little star weaver. For as long as there are dreams to be dreamed, and stars to be wished upon, the cosmos will always need guardians of its light, dreamers of its future." And as she stood there, bathed in the refulgent glow of the loom of starlight, Elara felt a transformation within herself. She was no longer just the girl who had set out on a path of wishes. She was something more, something woven into the very fabric of the renewed cosmos. Her own inner light, once a mere spark, now shone with the steady, gentle brilliance of a guiding star. She did not return to the world she knew, not in the way she had left it. Instead, Elara became a part of the cosmic dance, a silent guardian of the loom of starlight, her presence a soft hum in the heart of the universe. Sometimes, when a dream was particularly bright, or a wish especially pure, Ilara's light would flicker, sending a resonance through the threads of the loom, ensuring that the magic of creation continued to flow, strong and true. And so, the universe continued, vibrant and full of wonder, its tapestry rewoven by the courage of a single heart, the power of collected dreams, and the ancient wisdom of forgotten languages. And in the quiet moments when the stars shone brightest and the night was deep, one could almost hear the gentle, loving hum of Ilara, the star weaver, watching over the sleeping cosmos, ready for the next dream to be dreamed, the next wish to be wished, eternally weaving light into the shadows. One dream, one star, one wish at a time. The universe, vast and full of wonder, now shone with an eternal, unwavering light, a testament to the girl who had dared to mend the stars. And somewhere, a child slept, dreaming of flight, and the stars shimmered just a little brighter,